another Wednesday, and it's another Unapologetic with Eric King. But today we have the one and only's Brother to Brother segment. This is the third Wednesday of the week. And, you know, we bring in my brothers. We got Ivra. What's going on, Ivra?
I'm doing well.
You going to do that? we got my brother Dorian jumping in on this as well. What's going on, D?
What's going on, sir?
How you feel?
I'm all right, man.
All right, we got to turn up these levels. Check 2. Dorian be getting he be having that after 5. Is it that? What was that?
White?
No. What did they used to do back in the day? It was for lovers only.
Oh goodness. Goodness.
Y'all didn't do for lovers only?
Wow.
Hey, back in, so I grew up in Columbus. It was Blue Monday.
Blue Monday.
Oh,
Blue Monday.
Bruh.
What happened in Blue Monday?
Hey. All of it was going down.
Blue Monday.
Blue Monday. All right. So so it is our usual brother to brother. We outside of the broadcasting booth. Out of the barbershop and into the broadcasting booth. We do know, you may or may not know that this month is suicide awareness. So we're going to talk about that later on. But before we jump into that, last time we was all together, we had an excellent conversation with Archie Green.
Yes, sir.
After y'all got done with Archie, and having that conversation, what did y'all do in going out and impacting the world?
Well, I reached out to Archie so that we can do a little collaboration. So we're still working on that.
Okay.
But yeah, that was such a good conversation.
Yeah.
Motivational, and it gave me the opportunity to think of ways to put something in action.
Yeah.
Instead of just talking about the theories and the concepts, let's put something together.
Okay. What about you, D?
Yeah. For me, it was more global, like just, introspection, just internal dialogue with, okay, well, what is my impact on the world? How do I continue to make that? And then just, connecting with some of the people that Archie and myself knew, So it was definitely a good conversation, man. One that I thought was really, really fruitful, inspiring. Even afterwards, I found myself just, Googling his story and his organization and just kind of just reading a little bit more up on him. And definitely fruitful for sure.
Yeah. So after he and I talked, I went back and looked at a little bit more of the Black Male Initiative stuff, stuff like that.
Yeah.
The beauty of having this spot, having these moments is having the opportunity to talk to people, that either have impacted somebody's life, in some type of way, or has the ability to impact somebody's life, in the interim, or is working up to it. And so, having Archie on last session was really cool. What did you guys do over this month?
Just in general?
Yeah, just in
self-care
general.
stuff. Yeah, just, I'm getting back into my meditation routine. So
Yeah.
that's what's going on.
That's that new baby you got, man.
Yeah. Not getting as much sleep as I like, man.
Man, you got to do a lot more to meditate with that.
Right.
So meditation and sleeping. Those have been my primary
things
that just make sure I'm mentally staying well.
What's up with how's that baby? You got 2 boys and a girl now.
Yes, that is different.
That is different.
That is different.
What do you mean? Well, because you got 2 in diapers.
Yes, absolutely.
You decide.
That's masochistic.
That is
Right.
And
So
my daughter will be 2 on the 18th of
Yeah.
October, and so it can get a lot sometimes.
Yeah. The brother comes in sometimes. I'll be like, "You good, man?" He'd be like, "Yeah."
Yeah.
You gotta ask how you good.
Yeah.
What'd you do over there? What'd you do since last?
So I passed a financial services exam. It's foundational. It's called the Securities Investment Essentials exam, and I did that. And
that sounds special.
I'm gonna give a shout out to my pops.
Give a
shout out to my uncle.
Yeah,
those dudes kind of kept me straight, kept me calm.
Okay.
And I went. I think I did pretty well.
Okay.
But going in and coming out, I needed to have levity and calm and peace and encouragement. Like because there's a lot on the other side of this, career-wise and whatnot. So it was very important for me to go get that done.
Yeah.
And then coming out of it, just to to take the time to be happy about it, but remember that that's step 1 of 3. So that focus, it took a lot.
Yeah. And you got kids too.
Yes, I do.
So we all got kids. Let's just be real.
Yes, I do.
You got kids too, and balancing, because what I know about you is that you're doing very great work while balancing all of the family, struggles and stuff that we that of the typical, and then of the the abnormal. So I know that you're doing a great job in balancing all that.
The one thing I would say is to give yourself grace.
Man. Yeah.
When, because everything is cyclical.
Right.
No matter what we're talking about. And I know that in this life, you're going to have those moments that are tough and you need a break and you just need, but give yourself grace for those moments when it's a struggle and you can't figure out anything, because you have to understand also that whatever it is, it's temporary.
Yeah. You're balancing. So we all are entrepreneurs. Dorian's on his way of being an entrepreneur. Ivra, you're an entrepreneur. I'm an entrepreneur. I don't think, the proper respect is provided when you're attempting to, when you're a male, you're balancing that aspect of being a male, period. Right. Yes. If you're a father, if you're a husband, you're balancing those regular things, right? So being a male is what you're born as. Being a father is what you go into. Being a husband is also what you're going into. So those are the things that, those labels or those titles, you've all but, 2 of those 3 is what you chose to actually be in.
Yes, you did
right?
choose for those.
You said
Absolutely.
I do, right? Yep, and you got married.
You did.
Right? And then you did the do. And you popped the yay, and so you decided that. With that said, all of this pressure that is going on, and then you're choosing to be an entrepreneur, or you're choosing to work for somebody else, or you're choosing to go. I don't think a lot of times people understand the amount of pressure that men are on, and I know that we got this IG movement of men and this and that, and so we see all this stuff, right?
Yeah.
With that said, I mean, when the rubber meets the road, what do you think? And this is something we'll get into later on, but because we were talking about politics, what is the specific thing that black men are looking for from a president, from your standpoint?
Support.
Okay.
I think that's the first thing that comes to mind, and whether that be financial support or support with programming, I mean, or things that'll be established. I mean, I think the better question is like, so even if we're establishing support, when does that reach the person that needs it the most?
Yeah.
Right. And so that is just, one of the first thoughts to come to mind.
What about you, Ivra?
Man, that's a good one. I think leadership in terms of having someone that you can trust is going to put you in the right position to be successful. I think as whatever you choose to be.
I think it's weird that there's this whole movement in the politics right now. It appears as if there are some branches of black men that are really, looking at the presidential aspect, and one side specific, which is Harris, is looking like, okay, she's done too much to black men being a prosecutor in California. What is she going to do for right? Because no matter how many times you say that, the loudest individuals get the actual play. Yeah. And there's this whole platform of, well, what is she saying for black men? And when I sat down, I can't think of one thing as a black male, if we take on just those demographic, black and male, that I'm asking from a president, or I'm asking from her specifically, that she can give me. Yeah. And I can't think of anything.
Ooh,
and for women, though, that's different, right? For women, it's different. For women, you want better abortion. You want better health care. Right. You want not to pay for your monthly, things. You see what I mean? Right. But it goes back to this idea of when we're talking about men, right? You're born You decide to be a husband. You decide to be a father. A lot of times when we're having this discussion and we're attempting to home in on things, I can't think of not one thing that from Harris, specifically for Black male, that she can provide to me.
So the thing that I've been looking forward to is the tax credit for business.
Yeah. But that's everybody though.
But that's and you know what? And I don't need to be singled out. As I just need to know that I'm going to have something on the other end that's going to benefit
that you got my back.
Something's going to benefit me. And the thing that just drives me absolutely bananas is, and I have a discussion on my Facebook page today about this very topic, is the premise and the lie that is race.
Yeah.
And then when we talk about, VP Harris says, is she Black? I'm like, listen, man. My pops was a Panther, but I ain't never go to no Panther meetings.
Right.
She went to the meetings with her parents.
Right.
So is she more Black than me? Because they was out in Oakland.
Because that's the crazy part.
Right?
It's this measurement. So this measurement of Black. What you got, D?
No, I mean I would agree. Like this subject of race is getting really
ridiculous,
getting really complicated.
Well, it's a tool of white supremacy, and it makes me. It does. I'm sorry for cutting you off, man.
No, you're good.
It's all good.
Because I get angry. I don't want us to be a tool against ourselves.
But we've always been that way. I just got back from DC and we went to, and I'm gonna let you finish in a minute. Well, hold on. Go ahead. Finish what you was about to say.
No, I was just saying that this whole thing with with race and VP Harris and is she Black? Is she not? I mean,
it's only an issue when somebody bring it up. Go ahead.
Yeah, it's just for the life of me. I'm just like, so why don't we got more important subjects to be discussing about than whether or not? I mean, I feel like the same thing came with Obama. Like,
it did.
Like, what are we talking about?
But I remember when Trump lost and Biden won. There was a brother of mine, fraternity brothers, and I sent out on Facebook like, okay, what is it that y'all saw in this dude? And he brought back rhetoric like, oh well, pedophiles. What are you talking about? So he brought back. Now this is in my opinion, a highly intelligent, highly degreed individual, right? Because we're usually the ones that are having the real conversation are usually not unintelligent individuals.
Sure,
they're people that are smart. And he came back with, and I was like, this is all. I can't have a conversation with you because you're not giving me anything other than conjecture. You're not giving me anything other than hyperbolic items to where each side is calling each other sheep, but in reality, let's just be perfectly real. If you are in America, you're following somebody.
You have to.
Absolutely.
You have to. We only get two choices.
It's a societal mandate.
So for me to call somebody a sheep is looking at myself and say, okay, well, who are you following? Okay, well, I'm following some. So aren't we both sheeps? So why don't you shut up?
Why don't you bad or be quiet?
So I'm sorry, but go ahead.
Well, I got one point for you. So there is an interview on YouTube from 2019 with Joe Madison and Malcolm Nance.
Yeah.
I would ask you to go listen to that.
Okay. And
understand a way that one of the reasons why how Black folks have gotten to where we are.
Yeah.
When you talk about what started with Obama,
right,
and continues, there is an influence. The KGB, and I hate sounding like I hate sounding like a
I know what you're
conspiracy
saying.
theorist.
Just go ahead, man.
So KGB targets us,
yes,
because they know that the entire world, is plugged into what we do, and we can be easily manipulated, So, for many years, they've been targeting our community with misinformation, and we will get something and have it so strong, and we won't know where it came from. That's the key. Do you know where this bit of information came from? If you cannot pinpoint the specific source, where it came from, then you're a sucker.
Yeah, but that's the thing. So. And then people were like, oh, well, don't call names. Oh, and I get it, but it's really hard. It is really hard. We got to take a quick break. But on the other side, we're going to come out. And for those that are on Facebook. We actually have we're actually on Facebook Live this round. I don't know. We're trying a couple different mediums to actually, have the opportunity to just reach as many people as possible. People have been getting on me for a while to like, hey, you need to do this, you need to do that. So whatever is whatever. Whatever is whatever. We're going to go ahead and take our quick break, and we're going to come back. So we got a couple topics. First topic is who's still telling our boys to stop crying. I've yet to hear that. Second one is pressure. Pressure both bust pipes as well as make diamonds, but it all depends on the type of pressure you under. And us, us as black men, as we've already talked about, there's a lot of us that are busting. And so this is Suicide Awareness Month, and we're going to end it off with talking about this. We're still dying from suicide as men. Whether it's a motivated death, meaning as in an individual is, what's the word I'm looking for? Death by cop or death by situation. So we're going to take a quick break, and we're going to come back, and we're going to talk about these things. And so this is Unapologetic. This is Brother to Brother, and I'll see you on the other side. Hey, don't they say that a lot down in at Hotlanta? We actually made it to YouTube Live. We found it. All right, cool. My fault. All right, welcome back. This is Unapologetic. This is Brother to Brother Week. So we got Ivra, we got Dorian.
Yes, sir.
So on the other side, we talked a little bit about politics, but I do want to get back into this. Recently, there was, they were talking about how to raise men, or how to raise men from boys. So I got 2 boys, Dorian, you got 2 boys. Ivra, you got one? One.
Yes.
And so one of the things that came out is they said, we need to stop telling our boys not to cry. Now, what's interesting, the first our Wellness Wednesday with Steph, we talked about boy moms. And this idea of boy moms attempting to use their sons as emotional surrogates in relationships and stuff. And Dorian, as a therapist, and me as a therapist, we've seen this before, or at least I've seen it before.
Absolutely.
To where it's problematic. And what makes it problematic is you raise kids to leave you, not leave you, physically, but not necessarily emotionally. And when we're doing these things, and what we talked about with Steph, there were certain things that we were seeing. I think a phrase that someone used was emotional incest. And I know that sounds,
sounds harsh.
I know it sounds harsh, but if you think about it, there are women that are utilizing their sons for the purposes of emotional support. They have the emotional connection, they have that, but they don't necessarily have the physical. They get that somewhere else. And so it becomes an issue with the single mom dating. Yep. Becomes an issue with if they have a father in the house, whether genetic or step. Mm-hmm. And it also hinders that individual when he goes out to date someone else, right?
Make attachments.
Right, exactly. It's attachment theory. So we mess up on that. So I want to piggyback this into this concept of emotional intelligence as it relates to men. I really want to know, or young boys, I really want to know, we grew up in the era of telling boys not to actually cry. But I have 2 boys, and I know for a fact that I've not heard anyone I'm connected to tell any boy not to cry. I don't know where this is coming from, or is this still, and I know I'm speaking selfishly from my standpoint. That's why I want to bring you guys in on the conversation.
That's something that I have not heard since I was a kid, that I can put my hand and my finger on a memory of that. Yeah. I know for our son, making sure that he is expressing his emotions constructively. That's where we
That's
are.
the key.
That's the key.
Yeah,
and you model the behavior, right?
Right.
You tell your child what you want them to do.
Right.
You don't tell them what not to do, and that's
hard,
a little nugget in right. Don't you stop? Right. But that's a nugget in parenting. That's kind of that master's level of parenting, because that's just not something that society does. That's something that you do when when you've talked to somebody about parenting, when you've gotten some help or you've taken a class or you've done this or that, when you're able to understand that, hey, make sure you remember to turn the lights off when you walk out your bedroom.
Yeah.
Make sure you remember to pick up your stuff when you go. I'm talking about me.
No.
The words that I've said.
Those words
that I've said this morning.
Real familiar what I have said.
I said those words this morning. So I think that's where we can begin, telling them what to do.
Right.
And crying to me, man, I cried last week.
Right.
So it's okay.
Go ahead.
Yeah,
Nick.
I think that when I think about who would be still telling my son that, I think about his grandfather.
Yeah, I was just about to say that.
But it's, to me, my dad is a part of the boomer generation.
Yeah.
Older guys. That was just how he was raised and cultivated.
Yeah.
Right. And he and I even have discussions now where it's like, my emotional intelligence is just so much higher, so much bigger. My vocabulary is a lot larger, so I'm more than just mad or frustrated. Right? And he's like, I don't get it, and I said, I love you too, man. It's okay. We don't. It's okay. And what I've taught my son is that no, it's perfectly fine to cry. Actually. I prefer you cry, right? Because it's just one way physiologically that your body is just trying to get this emotion out.
Yep.
And, in our household, I'm sure any household that has therapists who lives in them, you're really keen on allowing children to express themselves, kind of what Ivra said though, but in healthy ways. So son, we're not punching walls.
Yeah.
We're not
or sisters.
Right, or sister.
Right. We're not going to be mean to your sister because you're upset, right? We're going to talk about, we're going to talk about what you shouldn't be doing, but we also going to talk about what you should do. And then let's role model that. Okay, hey, so can you write me a reflective letter on why it's important for you not to damage things when you get angry? What could happen?
I'm gonna channel my inner Justice. So I'm gonna channel my inner Justice. Shout out to Justice. He grew up in New York, right? He still had that gully mentality, and I've heard him say to me, like, bro, you soft, right? And he's the same age, right? You teach you, because his idea of the world and what he has been through is vastly different than what I am experiencing right now and what I experienced back in the day. Yeah. So this concept of crying, like, one time 50 Cent say, we don't have us, blacks don't have time to be depressed. We got to get to he's not wrong. Let's be real, because in his world, a crying child or a crying male child is a target for easy for easy operations. Let's be real.
Right. Well, I mean, so protecting our boys has to be first and foremost. And and there's a certain, as a parent, you're protecting your kids,
right?
But there's a level of protection that we have to give our children to be able to make these moves that they need to move for their emotional growth. And that becomes something that we don't necessarily think about either. Is how do I protect my boy in this environment, in these situations?
And I think it was all about safety anyway. Anything, to be perfectly honest, any well-meaning parent over the past, 20, 30 years, they were telling, especially if you were a black parent, right? For as long as there have been black parents in America, they're telling their kids and they're doing actions to their kids solely to protect. Right. And in reality, someone telling a black male child that you shouldn't cry, what they're leaving out is you can't cry right there. Right. You need to cry over here.
Right.
You need to go, when you're in the moment, when you're being attacked, when it's time for you to knuckle up and do what you need to do, you can't cry there. You need to cry over here. So you need to release all this emotion and all these tears and whatever over here when you're in a safe space. I truly believe that it was really about keeping kids safe. And that's what I see.
Yes. I never looked at it that way.
That's a good
I always
point.
looked at it from the downside of like, no, we don't need you to express your emotions.
We don't.
That's not important right now. Mitigate that, minimize that.
Yes.
Right.
And I think
we'll worry about it later, but later never came.
Yes.
Right.
I think I think that also is a part of it. And I'm not, I don't believe what I'm saying is 100%, but I will say that even in what you're talking about, they don't want to be unsafe with their emotions.
Right.
you know, the parent or the person or the guardian listening, if you start crying, that's going to do something to somebody else, and they may not want to deal with their emotions. So I can see that like that too. I don't feel like dealing with your emotions right now, bro.
Before I give you something to cry about.
Right, before I give you something to cry about. Because that's what the action is. You, from what that parent saw, the reason why you are crying doesn't make sense to them. Which means I'm going to provide you with a reason to cry that makes sense to me, and we all can feel comfortable about what's going on.
We can all be up in this misery together.
Right. That's a great point that you made, right? Because, you know, once again, I love this man. We have had a lot of conversations.
You and I?
No, I'm sorry.
Okay.
I'm saying I'm speaking in reference to my father.
Oh, okay.
Like we've had, because he's been there, right?
Yes.
When it's like, well, if you want to cry, I'll give you something to cry about.
For sure.
And I would tell him, even as a grown man, and I think it was a couple months ago, he and I were having a conversation, and I just started crying, and he said, "Nah, that's nothing to cry about." And I said, "Man, I can cry about whatever I want to cry about."
I'm a grown man. What we doing?
But the thought was, I said, you just don't like to see me cry because it's uncomfortable for you.
Yes.
Right.
Yes.
And you have to acknowledge that it's uncomfortable for you. It's not uncomfortable for me because I'm fine with it. I'll give myself permission to say it's cool to cry. You know, but from my dad's world perspective, being raised without a father, being the youngest of 9, I get it. He didn't have the luxury of, right? And even as an adult, him being the sole provider when funerals are happening, weddings are happening, he's financially responsible.
Isn't it crazy?
In a whole nother country.
I'm telling you, man.
I'm not even upset with him that he can't go there.
Yeah.
I just want him to acknowledge that he's uncomfortable.
But wait, you want him to acknowledge it ain't about me, it's about you, brother.
Yes. Right.
And your father's Jamaican. Let's go ahead and put that out there.
It is.
Your father, right?
So that's funny. Like the grandfather perspective, I hadn't even thought about that. But knowing, because my dad will tell you a story about when he was a little dude, and I remember my grandfather had these. My grandfather is where I get these big meat hooks from, and he talks about, my mom talks about his dad just mugging him in the face.
Wow.
You know what I mean? And and as I sit there and I listen to this story, I can just think about how big dudes' hands used to be on my pop's little face, man. I'm like, ooh, okay, yeah.
I can't right now with you, man.
Wow.
I can't right now with you. But no, for real. So I think it had a lot
of Pop. Okay.
Right. Shout out to all the pops, man.
Right. We love it.
The person that was telling me not to cry was my uncle. Manez, or his first name was Poochie, right? Then he went to prison.
Poochie.
Right.
You can't tell nobody not to cry. Your name Poochie.
Right.
I'm sorry.
Right. So, and then he came back from prison. Manez. So he was the one that was telling me not to cry. I can't. My mom was gully. I didn't have a boy mom that they got now, so she was gully.
A gentle parent.
None of that, bro. So let's pivot that. Let's take that and pivot that into this concept of pressure. What I heard you say about your dad and also the previous generation. Also, if we're going to go ahead and parrot what what's his name, 50 Cent said, there's no time to actually be depressed. There's no time. Right. And so if we're focused specifically on black men, if we focus specifically on us, right? You're born, you choose to become a husband, and you choose to become a father. And then anything after that is also a choice, whether it's educated, whether it's entrepreneurship or whatever. So you got them 3 basic choice, right? And you can have you can be a male or a man without being a father. You can be a husband. So there's some variations. Yeah. With that said, I remember Kyrie back in the day used to say pressure, and he had a T-shirt. It said pressure makes diamonds, which is true. But also pressure busts pipes. And far too often, it's about the type of pressure that you're under. The basic choices, when you are choosing to be a male, you don't choose your race. You just don't. Even before you have those other 2 entities, there's pressure there. Don't cry. You can't smile. You can't laugh. So that's compounded, right? And then you go and you become, let's say you did it a traditional way, not like I did it. You go and choose to be a husband, right? That's pressure because it's the provider, the protector. Yep. And then we got the next level. You decide to be a parent. Then you got that pressure because all in all, anytime that you see any type of picture, it's the male holding the wife, holding the kids. That, in my opinion, that alone can bust pipes, can cause you to go downhill because depending on your partner and depending on the type of child that you are blessed with. What's your thoughts on all that? Anybody? Because this is what I see, and I could be seeing something different.
So I see, and granted, social media is only real to a point, but I am glad to see a lot of young Black men as husbands and fathers simultaneously. Mm-hmm. That does make me proud. And I think one of the things that we can do as young men is be purposeful in how we cultivate our house. And I'm going to repeat that.
No, go do it again.
Be purposeful how you cultivate your home.
Absolutely.
Yeah.
Right? Yeah. So having a situation wherein you are enjoying the things that other people might not be happy about. Yeah. I heard this week Monday. I had to get a scan done, and the lady was like, "Oh, it's Monday. I hate Mondays." I'm like, "Girlfriend, you gonna have a lot more Mondays. You going, so it's a mindset. You better get to it.
You got to do this.
There's no way around Mondays.
It's a day in a week.
Yeah. And as a dad and a husband, if you cultivate and you just set these expectations, you traditionally you are the leader, right? So
whether you like it or not,
cultivate. I think I don't know that we always think about the fact that we need to do that.
Cultivate. What you got, D?
Yeah, I don't. I'm kind of with you, man. I think that we don't always consider the consequences of the choices that we're making, and those choices have a profound impact on our children's experiences, our partners' experiences, and then has an impact on those experiences. Yeah. Right. And to me, it's really important. Like when you're thinking about the pressures, right? I think grace is for sure is important to give yourself. Yes. And then, recognize that as a leader of your household that sometimes you just ain't got it. Right. In every aspect, right? That you may need honesty. Your partner to lead in certain ways that you're not leading. Yeah, and obviously, every household is different, but I know in my household, I'm the last decision maker. Yeah. Right. So my wife will make a lot of decisions and she will consult with me. And then there's some decisions that I'm just like, what is best for the family? I don't think that's it. Yeah. Let's go another direction. Okay, cool. But that pressure also comes with responsibility.
For sure. Yeah.
Right. And I think for some men, I can only speak for my person, that's not a responsibility that I take very lightly. Yeah. That having children and being conscious, being active, being, cultivating relationships that, it's important for me to be there, not just be there for the sake of being there, but spending time, making time.
The whole nine.
Right. And that takes effort. Yes. Right. And
effort is annoying sometimes, but go ahead.
It is.
No,
consciously make it every time. You're like, okay. Yeah. I think there are ways that you can for sure reduce the pressure. Mm-hmm. Obviously, having scheduled time, in your day to spend time with the family, to do your other things, I think are always helpful. But I think the thing that I find most men get lost in is themselves, and the fact that the pressure sometimes is so overwhelming that they try to tend to everything else but themselves. Yeah. Right? And then they become the sacrificial
That's
lamb.
how it busts, though.
Yeah.
Let's be real.
And that's what happens.
That's what happens. So let's kick it to the other side. I truly believe that there is so many things by being a male, by being a man, that has made me better, has the way that I think, the way that I detect things or follow energies. So we were just talking about the pressure that busts the pipes. Mm-hmm. I think the thing that is the cutoff, or where it turns into the pressure is related to diamonds, is one, self-awareness, self-care, and what is your purpose? Mm. Because there are so often. So when you go into a relationship, and because of the way society is, you're already the protector and a provider, whether you don't want it. Right? When you said the decision maker, no matter what, you're still the decision maker. Now in the black homes, it's a little different, but in the non-black homes, we're just talking about men, it's the male that they look towards. In black homes, it's a little different. Yeah. But with that said, if I go back and look over things, that self-care that you talked about turns that pressure, that heaviness into, some good gems. And I've had some times that in my life that I'm glad I had them. that pressure, right? That thing that I went through that created, who I am today.
Yeah, and like to your point, I mean that pressure does help you perform, right?
Yeah.
That I tell people there's a positive stress.
Yeah.
Right? A positive stress is the day of graduation.
Exactly.
Right? You're graduating,
Right.
but anybody who knows if you ever graduated from any higher education establishment, there's a lot of moving pieces, making sure you get the tickets, making sure your family gets to the same place, make sure you got your cap and gown, you're sitting right, right? And so, that stress to me or pressure is both a good thing, but like you are saying, it can turn into a bad thing when we start to ignore our own individual needs
ourselves
and put the needs of others ahead of you. And so you just want to be mindful of that.
What you got?
Well, I'm gonna reclaim a phrase that folks that the YT folks have taken. Wake up. Wake up, stay woke, however they use it. But that was one of the things that Pops used to say. I was
wondering where you was going with that.
That was one of the things that Pops used to tell me, boy, wake up.
Yeah.
Right? So we need to wake up to the fact that we have the ability to deal with these things. Wake up to the fact that this thing right here I need help doing it. Let's wake up to the fact that I have the ability to take care of these things. I've got the infrastructure or the support system or resources. Yeah. So,
I think what's interesting that go back to that support system. So what I find is most individuals believe that they're alone. And that's why the suicide rate is high. Right. And so the creator of the suicide hotline created that hotline because they found out that it was a specific tipping point by which, if someone just had someone there, and that's when they can, that's where they're saving their lives, right? Yes, we have malingerers. Yes, we have people that are calling the suicide hotline just because they just need time. But it's also the creator also understood that if they just believe that someone is there for them, specifically there for them, things get better. Far too often Black men don't have that belief that someone is there specifically for them. I'm not talking about the kids. Sometimes it's not even a wife, right? You go and tell your wife the problem or your partner the problem, and then they come back with some, superlatives or unhelpful things. And it's like, okay, I can't come to you when I can't come to you when things are hard.
Right.
That tipping point for Black men, and we see an uptick in suicide for Black men is because, in my opinion, that their dignity has been impugned and there's no one to help bring those pieces back together.
Yeah, I mean that's a great point. I mean, for a lot of men, we feel siloed, right? And that, we're all in our individual silos, dealing with the same issues, same problems.
Exact same.
Right? But there is no oftentimes, not every time, not all the time, there isn't the communication. Right, with other Black males who are going through the experience. There isn't the person to say that, hey, let's think about this pressure in a different way. Right. Instead of having this negative perspective about the pressures of what it is to be a man and to be a leader, let's actually look at it like maybe this is a positive thing that you get an opportunity to be a father, that you have an opportunity to be a husband. How can we change our perspective and what does that look like as you move forward, make decisions and make efforts? Let
me add something to that. So I work with an organization and I'm a supervisor for one of their therapists, and so they work with young mothers and they work with mothers that are pregnant, right? It takes two individuals to make a baby. And so we were talking about this individual's client. And so the baby was born. And so the individual, my supervisee's client was having issues with the father. And I said, because I've been working with this and I've been working with this person for a while. I said, oh, he's just playing his role. And she was like, well, what do you mean? I said, he didn't want to have his baby. And so you can't be shocked that he's being destructive in being a unwanted father. Right? There are fathers out there that don't want to be fathers. And because of the way things happen, and simply because you make a choice or this and that, you become a father. Sometimes a choice is made for you. You made the choice to have the sex. Someone else made the choice to have the child. And you're simply going to play that role until you become okay with it. Yeah. And what I said, where are your programs for that father? They said, well, we don't have one. I said, that's the problem. He has been playing his role. He told you in the beginning he didn't want a child. That's not going to change. We're not about to have this.
Even when a child is there.
Thank you. We're not about to have this beautiful moment off TV. He's going to play his role, and no one is supporting him, looking at him and say, I understand that you didn't want this, but how do we allow you to be the very best father and person you can be? We don't have that.
And you know what? Then that's a conversation too that can be. I can discern when I'm talking to my guys or whatever, and they're talking kind of the complaining about child support or whatever.
Right.
Like that to me seems like, and as I'm sitting here thinking about it, I'm like, that is an obvious looking glass into this man's soul.
Yeah.
That he didn't want to be this dad.
Yeah. He didn't want it. And what do you do with that? And the only thing that they have, and this is not about the organization this person works for, is I truly believe whether, we are truly overlooked in certain aspects. We're truly overlooked in certain aspects to where it's like, okay, this person is literally playing his role, the role of I am an
unwilling participant.
I'm an unwilling participant in this fatherhood circle.
Yeah.
What do you expect from him? Is he deadbeat? I don't know because I don't know him. But that's the very first thing. Oh, you laid down with me. Yes. But I didn't have the choice. I didn't have the choice of what happens.
And granted, now let's
go ahead.
Let's keep it 100 too.
Keep it 100.
Because we want, and she has the right to make that choice.
Yes. Yeah. Oh, no. Let's keep it 100 and say, and this is not about us and them.
Right.
This is literally about this individual has no support on how he feels. She has every 100% choice to have the child. We're not about to play that game.
Right.
The only thing that I'm saying is this individual didn't have the support.
Right.
And it's like, okay, did no one think that this was going to happen? And the only issue is if this continues to happen in this way, the child is the one that's going to be hurt in the long run.
That's a whole genre of your field.
Yeah.
Supporting fathers who didn't want to be fathers.
Yeah.
And I've literally never thought about that until like right in this moment of just, I didn't want that.
Yeah. I didn't want that for me right now.
I didn't want that for me right now.
Right.
But I guess I could also think about it on the other side too.
Go for it.
Sure, there are women who don't really want children who like, well, I ended up pregnant, so I'm going to actually have the child. And once again, get used to the idea of having a child and being a mom.
Yeah, but that's a different struggle, though. And you also see that there's more support. So we got the Fatherhood Initiative,
right?
Good point.
Right.
Good point.
We have, but there's more support. Why is the Fatherhood Initiative, so what's the word? Unique.
Because it's the only program.
But no, yes, that's what I'm saying. No.
I don't even know.
I'm with you 100%. This should have been from the moment people can have kids, accident or planned. This should have been thought out. So we got to take a quick break, and on the other side, we're gonna come up with some solutions. You know how we get with we can't just be up here just complaining. We got to come up with some solutions. So we're gonna. What are we going to do? We're going to go ahead and take a quick break. We're going to hear from some of our sponsors. Hopefully it's something about fathers. So let's just roll. All right, this is Unapologetic on WOVU 95.9 FM. All right, welcome back. We was just talking about suicide. That's what we ended off in. Fathers that don't want to be a father, that went into it knowing that they were not ready to be a father. Pressure, right? The type of pressure. Some pressure, bust pipes. Some make diamonds, and how we can do an alchemy in creating diamonds from the pressure, black men that is. And then we also talked about this concept of not telling our boys to cry, and this concept that when all that stuff was told to us, it was literally to protect us. And I truly believe that anytime that a parent, a well-meaning parent, and sometimes a half well-meaning parent, anytime a parent is telling you something of safety, it's something to keep you safe. Now, it could be misguided. It could be a little off. But I truly believe that not every time that someone was told to bottle up their emotions, that it was for a nefarious or problematic. Now, it's also could be that it was because they didn't want to feel like it. Like you were saying, the parent didn't want to deal with the emotions, and like you were saying, Ivra. But I think, all right, let's get to the solutions.
Yes.
So us as 3 black men, we have 3. How many kids you got?
3.
So we got 9 kids between us.
Man.
All right. 9 kids.
Almost
Wait, what are you talking about?
It's almost a football team.
9 kids between us can go and create a whole nation.
Man.
I mean, let's be real. So that means our impact in our household alone can change the world. And I know that that's a Pollyannic way of thinking about it, but I do think about it like that. As a parent, I do understand that there are things that I have done that makes my child hard to be around in order just to make me feel, and so you send that child out into the world. I'm like, how did you become so quirky? Oh, it's because of my dad. But no, for real. D, you up first. You going to get some therapeutics, or you going to think about some solutions on some of these topics that we talked about?
I mean, yeah, I was thinking about the thought you mentioned earlier about having no supports for the fathers who don't want children. I mean, the first thought I had
that's
was
a
like,
niche for us. Go ahead,
man. That could for sure be a program.
It
right?
is.
I
It's
mean,
a
even
program.
If you title that "Fathers Who Don't Want to Be Fathers" program.
Yeah,
right.
Hey, that's a genre.
I'm just thinking about the amount of calls we would be getting. And,
I would love to have that. Just fathers that didn't want to be fathers, just call up.
Yeah, and but to me, what that says is, or what I could imagine a program like that being was kind of maybe like a life coaching program, and how you're helping a person, young or middle age or even older person, get adjusted to this new human being, a part of their life, and try to help the client change their perspective on what things could look like. Once again, understanding that it wasn't their choice to have the child, but now the child is here. How in so many senses can we just make the best of it? Or what do you need that would be helpful, to just facilitate a relationship, a healthy relationship? And the other thing too is a lot of times, we as men, I think, have profound impact on the people around us.
Oh, yeah.
Especially, how we're looked upon, how we're role modeled, right? And so the choices that we make do have consequences for other people,
100%.
right? So I would ask any person who is a father who doesn't want children to really think about the impact on that person, not
because that's where it starts. Yes, yeah.
I think it's important to incorporate those pieces as well, because I think that would help anybody honestly see, I didn't want this child, but I still, as a human raising another human, you still want them to turn out to be the best human possible. And I don't know if they can solely do that just having a relationship with one parent. I think it's always easier, or the hope is it would be easier if they have a relationship with 2 parents.
Let's be real, Ivra. So this can happen with parents that are, males that are in the home or out of the home. There are times when people are in a long-term relationship and they don't want to, right? They don't want a child, but the individual, right? So they're there. I do want to pivot a bit because I want to get to solutions, and I want you to, as a father, to provide just, some insight into how would you support somebody else. Pick the suicide, pick the pressure, pick the not crying. How would you support, another male or some type of programming or event in order to help, them know that they have support?
I mean, I would hope for these men to find someone to listen to that statement.
Listen to
the statement when they give them permission. Like we need to give each other permission.
Exactly.
Space.
Yes.
You need to
Space.
have,
Yeah.
You need to have permission to tell me that I didn't want to be a dad.
Yeah.
Or whatever the case may be.
Yeah. No, I got you.
We get that out of the way.
Right.
And just it's an understanding. So for me, it's an understanding. Understand that as of the 3, I'm the one out of the 3 here that pay child support. Right, and that's what
I'm done with mine.
That's
right. So my child is 25 now, so I'm removed from that. But go ahead.
So regardless of whether or not you wanted that,
you gonna pay for them.
Understand that that's coming.
Yeah.
In all in all likelihood, and then don't make a permanent. And speaking of the suicide piece, we had a family member to commit suicide in 2017, and the thing that my takeaway was don't take and make a permanent decision for a temporary.
Yeah. Because that's the thing. The idea, no matter how often you tell someone that you're there for them, they have to believe. And so I truly believe that there's a trust issue with fellow men, right? Mm-hmm. There are some men that, were brought up around men and feel comfortable, right? There was no pressure, there was no gruffness, there was always support. And then there's, if you just look at it from the other turn, you didn't have that, right? If you grew up in a neighborhood, it wasn't if you were a male, it wasn't the young ladies bullying you. I mean, maybe the older ones, but it was another male, right? Yeah. If you were in a broke up home, the stepfather was viewed as or the step parent was viewed as a barrier, right? Adversary. Yeah. So I truly believe if we're looking at solutions, we got to figure out ways. And I hate to keep saying this because I say it over and over and over. Figure out ways to build communities of trust. We keep saying that over and over, but I think it's real, and I'm not sure how to better do that. What do you think, Ivra?
Finding like the one dude
mm-hmm.
that kind of gets it.
Yeah,
he doesn't need to fully get it.
Yeah, no.
That kind of like has a little
mm-hmm.
bit of knowledge and a little bit of ability, and one seed can make a tree.
Yep.
Yep. And so we don't need everybody today to know exactly what to say, what to do. Mm-hmm. We just need some seeds placed mm-hmm. strategically
mm-hmm.
Around the communities.
Yeah, I would agree. I think it's. When I think of how you build trust, it's healthy relationships, healthy attachments. Yeah. I mean, young, especially black men just need to know that there are people out there, specifically maybe other men, that they can build trust with, that mm-hmm. they know not only say they're going to be there, but will be there for them, whether it's a coach or a teacher or, a mentor from, Big Brothers, Big Sisters or,
mm-hmm.
or some type of program and in that nature. So I think to me, they not only have to feel it, but they have to see it.
Yeah.
And healthy relationships take time.
Yeah. They do.
You have to also be strategic to cultivate them. And they're not easy to maintain, right?
The other part is, if we go back to the pressure part, mm-hmm. Some people don't have or view their time as the ability to make friends. Because if you are an individual and you have this hustle mentality or you're in this survival mode of your life, friendship is not a part of survival. Hustle mentality is anyone that comes into my sphere, they are a tool for me to be, for me to use them. Let's be real, that's true. Yeah. And so it depends on the type of mentality you have, the self-awareness that you have, mm-hmm. also your ability to recognize that this thing is important. And not important because someone told you it is, but because you may have remembered one or two individuals that provided you a level of support that was genuine. It is hard to make friends at an old age. It just is.
Yeah.
And so if you are in America, you got pressure on you.
Absolutely.
If you choose to be a husband, mm-hmm. pressure. If you choose to be a father, pressure. At work, if you choose to work, pressure. You have all this pressure on you, and this is not a woe is me. This is just a realistic thing. Do I really have time to make new friends?
Absolutely not.
Exactly.
Yeah.
And that's the problem. And there are because it takes effort.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
Man, I would love to see mm-hmm. us take the time and understand that it doesn't require it does take time, but it doesn't require you to sacrifice.
Yeah.
And that's where we run into trouble where I can't do this and that.
Right.
You know what? A text.
Right.
Just the check in, and I see that online. Check on your people. Check on your people, and that's real too.
Yeah.
And sometimes it's just a text.
Yeah.
Hey, what's up? How you doing?
Yeah.
And I think we can do that more.
Because we do that. I know you and I do that. And, you and I do that, but we see each other, periodically in our mm-hmm. in our building. But, and this is not a, rah-rah, whatever have you. I recognize that I had an issue with men. I spent a whole year, right? A whole year, every Wednesday, having a coffee with an individual who was a black male. And I created so many good times. I met Ivra at a event that I didn't want to go to. And he was black and I was black. And so we hung out together and we found two other black people. And it's not about race. It's literally, right, it's not about race. It's literally about you need your tribe.
Yes.
And in needing your tribe, every now and again, it's people that look like you. Sometimes it's people that think like you, or people in the same profession like Dorian, or people that we work with. All in all, you need your tribe. Find your tribe. We got about 2 minutes. What else you got?
Man, and I'm going to tell you, one of the things, I'm not a Cleveland native. I've been here for about almost going on 5 years.
Right.
And that was the thing that when I got here and I started moving around Solon or downtown or whatever, and you saw black folks. I remember being at the Giant Eagle in Solon, and I looked and I saw black folks that had a Benz and a Beamer and this and that. And I was like, yo, everybody got theirs here. Like, this is cool. Yeah. And that's where and recognizing in yourself when you get that feeling of recognize when you find your people.
Yeah. Find your tribe. And no matter, it's not about race. Let's be real. Sure. It's also not about gender sometimes. Let's be real. It's literally about your comfort and allowing yourself to take your mask off. What you got? We got 1 more minute.
Yeah, and I was going to say that to me, the supports and the connections that you have with others are the things that keep you grounded. Yeah. Right? Yeah. The things that keep you and help you feel emotionally safe. Yeah. And if you feel emotionally safe, more times than not, you can build trust and you can have trust. Yeah. And so when I think about those things, we don't have to suffer in silence if there's other people who we can latch on to, who may be going through similar experiences that we can at least connect to.
Amen. So, all right, I see you guys in 3 weeks. They're going to kick us out.
I can't wait.
So if you're looking for therapy, go ahead and call Dorian. If you're looking for insurance, go ahead and call Ivra. If you're looking for me, leave a message. All right, I'll talk to y'all later. This is Unapologetic on WOVU 95.9 FM. Peace.